Hello, hello. I know it's been a while, huh? It's been a while, but I had some time, excuse me, so I thought I would hop on, hop on for a TikTok Live. Speaking of on, let me put on some chapstick here. Where's my good chapstick? Do you have that? Do you have like a good chapstick? Yeah, this is my good chapstick, because you know what? You deserve my good chapstick. So, good morning, everybody. It's so funny. So, you know me, I don't filter because it's just too much effort. I just got out of the shower. I have very little makeup on, but I wear very little makeup in general. However, I decided the way that my hair goes with my stuff, I decided to kind of part it on the other side. And so I'm kind of like, oh, it's so weird. I'm not used to seeing it that way. But good morning. Good morning, spreading sunshine. And I am Terry Lee in Monte Gros. And Danielle, nice to see you. Whoa. I am in a mobile studio experience right now because I am up in Massachusetts, and I had some free time. I have been honestly, I'll be honest. I'll be honest with you. Somebody can edit that better. I kind of missed doing TikTok lives. My TikTok lives are a part of my life that I enjoy, that I actually look forward to, and so who doesn't want to continue doing things that they enjoy? So even though I am traveling for many reasons, I feel like I was joking with my sister last night because I'm staying at her house for a couple days. Like if I had like a Destination Decluttered on tour t-shirt, there would be quite a number of stops lined up on the back, like Molly Hatchet plays, the Enormo Dome or whatever. And so yeah, I've been a number of places getting a lot of good stuff done. Getting a lot of good stuff done. And since I had some free time before I jumped into some coaching today, even while I'm traveling, I thought I would just show up on TikTok and see how y'all are doing and see if I can help anybody with their clutter or other. Now, let me help myself by making myself a little bit more comfortable. So, let me ask you this. Are you comfortable? Can you do anything? I remember getting this during COVID. Not COVID. I signed up for what was it, like a meditation app. I don't know. Every time I say meditation, I feel like I got to be like, ugh. Kristen Berg. Oh, nice to see you. And thank you for being so excited I am live. Yeah, spread the word. I don't know. Let everybody know I'm here. This was totally an expected for me, unexpected for you pop up. I didn't even get an email out to the people on my mailing list saying, psst, I'm thinking of showing up at 9 because it just wasn't like that. But I looked at the clock, I looked at my schedule, and I said, you know what? I think I can do a TikTok live between 9 and 10 today. So that's why I'm here. But make yourself comfortable. Getting yourself comfortable physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually is the beginning of all the good stuff. Yeah, like 1 hour at a time. Yeah, and being able to just even make a rudimentary roadmap. Like I have a more structured roadmap I'll share with this, and this is one of the things I teach my one-on-one clients. It's kind of making a roadmap for the day. Because if you don't have a roadmap, then you don't know where you might end up, by dinner time when you want to kind of clock out and just totally fart around. At least that's my organic schedule. I'm an early bird. I'm an East Coast early bird. But I also hoped that by doing this TikTok live at 9 a.m. Eastern, there might be some early birds on the West Coast that can sign in. And I have a roadmap from now until about noontime. Now, after that, I've got like a little milestone because I have some more coaching in the afternoon. But after that, there's a bunch of space. And it's really interesting to note that, like, when you want to get stuff done, it can be as simple as, and not as overwhelming as, like, just writing it down, not just on a list of things to do. Lists of things to do are good, but writing those things down on your calendar. So I would show you my calendar, but I actually have as I like to say, my 35-cent spiral bound notebook from Staples that runs my world, that I use as a tool to help me run my world. Good morning, Josephine. Nice to see you. And I would show you that, but it's actually also propping up my phone thing here because I am literally, oh, Nursey Nita, I haven't seen you in a while. A farm girl. Okay, cool. I'm seeing some friendly. Good morning. I'm seeing people. Okay, Kristen Berg, let me help you out with this. Okay, so Kristen is asking, and just so you know, all of my TikTok lives are recorded and I upload them to Destination Decluttered on YouTube. So I tend to read the question that somebody's asking me so that those people who aren't seeing the stuff kind of scrolling by, or maybe you're getting ready for the day, or you're doing dishes or folding laundry. You don't have to look at the screen to benefit from what I'm doing. So Kristen is asking, may I ask where you are? Yes, you can. I'm in Connecticut. Awesome. I drove through Connecticut a couple of days ago. Could I make an appointment with you? Do you do phone calls? Okay, so here's how I roll. First of all, at the moment, typically I'm in Pennsylvania because that's where I live, but I have family in Massachusetts because that's where I grew up. So I'm in Mass right now. Could I make an appointment with you? Good question. Now here's how I roll. This is what I do. I offer, and let me even just kind of work it backwards. I offer paid coaching, and this is kind of a commercial, but you're asking for the info. I have a 10-session package that I charge for. And what that is an hour a week for like 10 weeks in a row on Zoom. That's how I coach, and I coach people across the country, and that's what I do. Now, as far as making an appointment with me to do a phone call, kind of what I do is, if you go to my website, destinationdecluttered.com, there is a place where it says like schedule a consultation. That's basically like an appointment with me. And what that is, it's a free kind of call, but it's on Zoom, not just like your old-fashioned Alexander Graham Bell type thing. And if you are interested, and here's the thing I want to just be very open and free and clear about. If you are considering wanting to hire me as your paid decluttering life coach, because in case we haven't met before, I always forget to introduce myself at the beginning. I just start rambling. I'm going to stop. Hey, everybody. My name is Beth. I'm a decluttering life coach, and my coaching is called destinationdecluttered.com. Boom. Okay, now back to what you were saying. If you would like me, if you were thinking, wow, having a paid decluttering life coach in my life might help me with the things that I'm struggling with, then you would look at my calendar that is available on my website, sign up for a consultation. During the consultation, it's basically finding out what your clutter situation is, me learning it, you learning it, and saying, can my coaching help you? If it can, then we talk about it. But I'll be honest with you, the goal of the consultation is not to provide you with coaching. It is to provide you with more information if you want to join, you want me to be your coach. So that's how that rolls. So Kristen, I hope that helps you. So if you're interested in me being your coach, totally. Now here's the funny thing. I have been living my life this past week. I even said to the people on my mailing list, like, hey, I'm not even going to be showing up. I show up for my paid clients because they're always number one in my book. But as far as TikTok lives, any kind of video generation, that was going to be, as I said, possible but not promised. Okay. Yeah, so I hope that helps. Okay. Hey, I'm seeing some friendly faces or friendly names. Laura Gibbons Voorhees, nice to see you. Okay, Kristen, I'm glad that helped. And Laura just says, thank you so much for what you share here. It has been so helpful as I take baby steps on my journey. And you know what? Here's the wonderful thing, everybody. First of all, kind of what I do on a TikTok live basically is provide kind of free coaching. Now, it can only go like a smidge under the very surfacey things, but even that can be very helpful. So I offer to you, everybody, pretend as if any of the questions somebody else has asked me, what if it was a question that was you? And listen for the answer to see how it might pertain to you. Now, the thing I love that Laura says, first of all, thank you for letting me know that what I do is helping you, because that makes me show up more to do it. Now, I enjoy it, but I might not enjoy it if I didn't feel like I was helping people. You know, we all try stuff. Oh, I kind of like this. Oh, nobody else is interested. Trust me, I used to write books about vintage road trips. There's a very narrow niche of people who like that, and I pretty much know all of them personally at this point. So I love knowing that what I'm doing is helping you. But also, Laura says very wisely, it's been so helpful as I take baby steps on my journey. Now, everybody, everything in life is baby steps. Put one foot in front of the other. That'll be more relevant when it comes around Christmas time because you'll see Kris Kringle and all that. But notice that. Now, I like to frame it. Journey and steps, I love that. But I also love, not so much the Journey, Don't Stop Believin' Journey, but I had an album when I was growing up. I like to think of life as a road trip. I like to think of decluttering as a road trip. So I say that, like every mile you drive forward towards your, quote, destination decluttered, see what I did there, is 1 mile further away from the clutter. You know, hey, Carmen from Indiana. Carmen, Indiana, Carmen, Indiana. You're going to notice, everybody. If you know me, you know me. If you know, as they say. I'm a Gen Xer. My head is full of thoughts and music and pop culture references. So they often come out of my mouth because this is how my brain works. I don't filter them out because I don't want to show you a filtered version of myself and then have to gatekeep that. So nice to meet you. Abbott Elementary from Orlando. Oh, awesome. You must be with your daughter. Tell her I said hey. Okay. Very cool. Jess in LA says good AM. Yeah, thanks for showing up to help us. See, Jess, I will be honest with you. I was thinking of you because I said I had the opportunity to start this kind of pop-up TikTok live this morning at 8 a.m. Eastern. But I was like, oh, but if anybody wants to show up from the, not even wants to show up because they don't know, but if anybody is on the West Coast, that's like 5 a.m. for them. Now, I'll admit, I have a client who I meet at her 5 a.m. She's on the West Coast. My 8 a.m., her 5 a.m. So I know some people are up, but I consciously made a decision to show up at 9 a.m. Eastern in the hopes that I was, going to be more available for people on the West Coast. So nice to see you, Jess. Boston Mama, nice to see you. I'm south of Boston today. I will be west of Boston tomorrow, and then I'm heading back home. There we go. German Maid, good question. I was at my mother's. I'm telling you, I'm doing the whirlwind tour of New England. I was at my mom's 2 days ago, and now I'm at my sister's house. Tomorrow I stay at some friends, and then I head home. So a bunch of different little things just based on where I can do the most good and where it makes sense that I want to just see all the people I love. So Kristen Berg says, stuff has such an emotional attachment. It can, yeah. I have so much stuff from my mom's downsizing and my gram. Julie Rose is getting ready for work in California. Love it. I love it. Twintastic from Rhode Island. Love it. Tennessee in the house. I get a kick when I'm usually in my office at home in Pennsylvania. I will often be looking over at my map of the United States to see where people are. So I love that. Good morning, Erin. Nice to see you. Oh, my teacup is way over there. But I'm raising my teacup to you. Yeah. And it is a fun tour. New Jersey, Lauren Beth from New Jersey. Gotta love a fellow Beth. So let me get back to this. So I love seeing that people are chiming in from all over the place because that's one of the reasons, you guys. It's one of the reasons I realized when I wanted to experiment with declutter coaching, I knew I wanted to do it in a way that could help people regardless of where you are located geographically. If I did my coaching in person, for me to coach somebody like Abbott Elementary is in Florida and Erin is in New York State, and I have clients in person, for me to coach somebody like Abbott Elementary is in Florida and Erin is in New York State, and I have clients in California. Or I would be restricted to whoever lives in my geographic kind of, radius. I love doing the coaching on Zoom because you know what it does too? It provides a safety of some distance for you as well as me. I'm not in your house kind of being overwhelmed by your stuff, and you can show me just a sliver of what you're working on so we can calm down and focus down on that. So I want to get back to what Kristen Berg was saying because this is really important. Kristen is talking about the emotional attachment from stuff from her grandmother and her mom. Now, trust me, I just came from my mother's house. I'm at my sister's house. I literally have stuff in my car out in the driveway that is from our grandmothers that I'm going to be like, all right, what do we want to do with this? So I know that feeling, but let's even just pull out a little bit from that. And Kristen, maybe this will help you. You say stuff has such an emotional attachment. And if you rewound the tape when this is recorded and put up on YouTube, you'll hear me say, yes, some of it is. Some of it is. I like to categorize clutter. I like to categorize everything. This helps my brain chunk things down, and it's working if you're not in the New England area. So I say this, Kristen, some things have such an emotional attachment. Others don't. So think of this. Think of the 3 layers, 3 categories of clutter, but they are hierarchy kind of layers. You've got surface clutter on the very top, on the surface. This is the stuff that's like the everyday things. Like I'm looking over, there's a bench with some blankets on it. I know my stuff's on top of a bureau. There's a desk. There's stuff on the top. That's usually the things of everyday life. Going into the grocery store, laundry, things on the surface. Sometimes those things have an emotional connection, but sometimes they don't. Now, the next level down for clutter, at least the way I coach, is stored clutter. So stored clutter, and this is how it helps to remind it, and at least it rhymes in my head, in my voice, stored doors and drawers. So the stuff that's behind a door or in a drawer is your stored clutter. Now, sometimes your stored clutter is just more of the stuff that's just kind of doesn't have a lot of like emotional charge or sentimentality. Other times it can be like you open up the door to that room and you're like, oh my God, that's all the stuff from Ma's house. I can't even. So notice that you have stored clutter, that you can pretend things when they look good on the surface clutter. If you look good on the surface, people walking around your house that don't know you are like, oh, your house is so well kept. They have no idea what's in your drawers. Woo, in your drawers. In your drawers or behind the doors. And you do, though, because you have x-ray specs, as I like to say. You know that looking on the other side of that door isn't just a door and it's nice and empty. You know when that looks like, as my mother would say, like McGee's closet. Now, notice I talked about surface and then stored, and then the last one, and I always put my heart here because it's a hierarchy, is sentimental. And yes, some stuff you have does have an emotional attachment, but not all. Now, I offer clutter in these three things because I suggest that you start with the surface, work on the stored, and then when you do that, you're practicing getting used to making decisions about the stuff in your house, that when you come to the emotional stuff, the sentimental stuff, you have practiced that. You have built a muscle. Now don't look, I got bingo wings here. But you have built a muscle in your head and in your heart that is making decisions that are aligned with your destination decluttered. You're saying, do I want this for my life right now? And do I see myself using this in the future? So I hope that helps, Kristen. Know what we did? We just kind of chunked it down. We didn't say everything. I'm looking at everything in this room has an emotional charge. No, some of it does, but we can work with that. Okay? I hope that helped. There we go. Jess in LA. Yes. Okay, good to know. Jess in LA says 6 a.m. is wicked good time for West Coast peeps. Good to know. I will know that. This is funny, and I'm going to write a note to self, and hopefully I won't scribble this, but schedule. You know what? I may have even scheduled TikTok lives for next week. I think I did. But I have been out of work mode and into life mode, Now, okay, this is wonderful. Carmen is saying stored clutter bothers me. Awesome. Awesome. You know what I say that? When something bugs you, that's showing you that something's out of alignment. Things that don't bug you, you're like, dude, whatever. But noticing when you have a complaint, when something is bugging you, that is an opportunity to investigate that and do something about it. It's like a rock in your shoe. It's like a pebble in your shoe. It's like what is that? The lady with the mattresses and the pea, the princess and the pea. When something is irritating you, fix it. Notice what it is. Stop, sit down, take your shoe off, shake it out, take the pebble out of your shoe, put your shoe back on, get up, continue to walk. It's going to feel so much easier to move forward when you stop to solve for what's bugging you. Okay? So, yeah, I love this. Julie Knox Realtor, nice to see you too. Julie Knox Realtor says, my sticky note says, make decisions. You taught me that. Well, here's the wonderful thing. I learned it myself. Now, trust me, I'm like, let me share this with you. I am the oldest of an oldest of an oldest, and I have younger sisters below me, and I have no children. But the reason I share that is, like, I learned what I'm doing right now the hard way. That's why I am showing up to you at 58 years old, finally feeling like I'm getting my shit together in my life, and it's like I'm almost freaking 60. I share this with you. I hop onto TikTok to do this because I want to share. I want to give you the shortcut. I don't want it to take as long as it took me. I don't want it to take as long for you as it took for me to get to where I am. Okay? So I love that. So making decisions. Now, but here's the thing I want to help you with, because this is an important part of the making of the decisions. First of all, you're making a decision. You're creating a decision. Make sure it's a decision that feels good. Now, notice this though. There are short-term decisions that feel good that might not feel good long-term. I have eaten too much. I have dranken too much. What feels like a good idea in the short term may not pan out at the end. When you learn to make decisions and say, okay, if I do this now, how will that affect my future? And will it give me the future I want, or will it keep me where I don't want? So learning to make a decision that also then creates the life you have. And how you do that is you check in with your head, but more importantly, your head and your heart. These two got to play nice in order for you to make a decision that feels good. And if you're not used to thinking about that when you're making decisions, it can be a challenge. This is how I coach. This is what I do. So notice that making decisions. Yes, deciding. Decluttering is deciding. Decluttering is deciding, should I stay or should I go? Like the class says, do I want this? If I want it, yay. Where does it go? Do I want this? No, I don't want it. Cool. What's the easiest way to get it out of my life? You were making decisions. And who is it? Rush? Anybody? This is slightly elder Gen X, so you youngsters of the Gen X generation may not get it. But as Rush once so prophetically said, if you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice. Okay? So notice these things. Now, I love it. Phoenix Rising, good, nice to see you and a bunch of people. Hey, if you haven't met me here, just really quick, kind of a shameless plug, but I usually, when I am home, when I am not on the road, I do TikTok lives pretty much every day. They tend to be between like 6 a.m. and 12 p.m. East Coast time. If you think this is going to be helpful for you, just follow my TikTok page at the very least, because then you'll be notified when I show up. Like next week, for example, when I'm back kind of in my own life and in the saddle again, I have TikTok lives scheduled, I'm pretty sure. And if I don't, I will schedule them. So if you like this, consider liking my TikTok page, or if you want to know when they're scheduled next week, because the people on my mailing list get the schedule, go to destinationdecluttered.com. There's a little form at the bottom of the homepage. Just put in your email address, join that, and you'll immediately get access to the page that shows where the schedule is, okay? Just wanted to throw that out there, okay? Here we go. What do we got? Okay, Carmen, I get you on this one. Carmen is saying, wish I could get my hubby to help with his stuff. Yeah, me too. Who doesn't? I will share this, though. Don't look at other people now until you get your own poop in a scoop. That's a Jen Sinceroism. I got to figure out a better one. But notice what you can do with your stuff. Don't go blaming other people. I say this because I can easily point fingers at my husband. Your room's such a mess. Pick up that guitar. Why is this here? Blah, blah, blah. In the meantime, am I perfect? No. Even the guy in the robes was like, he who don't throw the stones if you live in a glass house. Did they have glass houses back then? Maybe that was Billy Joel, but I digress. What I mean is, check in with yourself first. Instead of looking out, notice what I'm doing. It's almost like, instead of looking out and blaming other people and pointing that, do a U-turn. Now, when I write a book, the book of my life or whatever, I'm going to call it a U-turn, like a Y-O-U. Turn the beat around and look at yourself. Now, Carmen, are you perfect with your clutter? No, probably. The neat thing is, though, when you start to learn how to, not properly, when you learn a better method, system, way of dealing with your clutter, and you start using that system, do not be surprised that that will have, even just you doing something different, affects the energy in your home, affects the energy with which you interact with other people. If you do it and you're having fun and you're enjoying it, and you're seeing this could encourage your husband to want to get better care of his toys. So don't go try to change other people until you do the one that's the most difficult, which is you. Now notice, you have the most information about yourself. You know what your thoughts are, or you at least have access to your thoughts and your feelings, because you live in this skin. You embody this, literally and metaphorically. You have no idea, or you have a smidgen of an idea of what's going on in somebody else's head, and somebody else's heart, and somebody else's life, and somebody else's past, and how that affects what they're doing right now. So instead of pointing at them, start with yourself. When you know how to drive a car better, then you can teach them how to drive. Okay? So notice that. Alrighty. Yes, so Kristen hit on a good one. A bunch of things scrolled past, so I'm trying to back up and be mindful of mindful, timeful, and kindful. All right. Yeah, the neat thing is, okay, deciding it and being okay with that decision. How does feeling okay with your decision feel in your body? Use your body as a barometer. You're using it anyway. It is there to barometrize. I'm totally making that shit up. To be like, okay, my brain offers me that option. How does that feel? My brain offers me another option. How does that one feel? Which one feels better? Which one feels easier? What one feels delightful and easy and a relief versus an obligation? Okay. And I love this. I love that people have sticky notes from what I've written. Someday we'll do a thing where it's like, what's on your sticky note? Because Twintastic is saying, my sticky note says, starting it now doesn't mean you have to finish it now. No, just start it. Now, this is why I always go back. My brain always goes to like the road trip, the cross-country road trip. Typically, I'm in PA and I go to PS. I go from Pennsylvania to Palm Springs, California. You cannot finish that road trip in one day. Things take time. Flowers take a while to bloom. Trees take a while to grow. Kids there's a gestation period for babies. You can't rush these things. Don't rush me. Now I'm singing frickin' Taylor Dane, people. Look what you got me doing. Okay. Kimmy L says, where do we find the quality clothing instead of all the junk? I don't know. Probably a thrift store because they make crap these days. So that's what I say. Go look for the old stuff that was made well. That's me. There we go. Schedule, just jotted down times for your page. Okay, thank you, Abbott Elementary. See, this is the funny thing. As I said, when my mind is not in work mode, I allow my brain to trust that I have a plan in place and trust in the plan, but also be like, I don't know, what do you want to do this afternoon? You want to go get a donut? You want to, I don't know, go fart around? So thank you, Abbott Elementary. So I do have TikTok Live scheduled for next week, and Abbott Elementary just jotted them down from my page. Awesome. Yeah, Jennifer got my day, Greg. Yeah. Now here's a really cool one too, and I want to help you with this. I find it easy to help others with their clutter. I could do this for somebody else. You could. You know why? Because you can't hear the stories that their stuff tells them. It's like that what do I want to say? That vibration, my husband's a musician, like that frequency. There's a frequency only you can hear that your stuff communicates you at. You know what I mean? And there's that one that only animals can hear. You can't hear that from somebody else, but you can hear it with you. That's why it's easier to deal with somebody else. I look around this house. I look around this room. None of this stuff is talking to me. I know a little bit of a story. Like there's that bureau or there's that little thing. I remember where that came from. I have no idea about like 99.9% of the stuff in this room because it's not mine. So to me, it's nice and quiet. My sister comes into this room. She has a story for every single freaking thing here, down to the books, down to this, down to that. So notice, yes, it can be easier to help people with things. But in order to have a process that works, you got to work on yourself. Would you trust me as a decluttering life coach if I was not sharing with you how awesome I love my life, how my house is cleared, how I've worked on this thing? When I'm at home, I do TikTok lives from my house. I do them from different rooms. You've seen me. You've seen it. I'm not gatekeeping. I'm not like only showing you this and it's a freaking hovel on the outsides of my windows. It is easier to deal with other people's things because you can't hear them. But the cool thing is to make it easy for yourself, I want you to tune into that frequency and listen to the stories your things tell you. There's valuable information in there that can help you make a decision that feels good to your heart. No, excuse me. Feels good to your head. This is why I use my body to remind me. Head, heart. Okay? Yeah. Okay? And then Kristen says, yeah, I'll come over and help you. Yeah. Yeah. My clutter doesn't bother me like his does. Yeah. You know. Yeah, Lady V is saying, I just helped my sister-in-law declutter her house and have more trouble doing it at my house. Yeah. Oh, hey, that's interesting. Lucille says, my brother was the original drummer for the Brooklyn Bridge. What was their hit? Was it The Worst That Could Happen? I don't know, the Brooklyn Bridge. It sounds familiar. Tell me that, because I am such a music fan. Okay. Danielle says, how long did it get you to get you where am I now? Feel like now? I'm like, 58 years. But I kid. 68 guns. Anybody? The Alarm? They opened up for U2 at the Orpheum in like 1982. But again, the worst that could happen. See, Lucille, I told you that I have a musical brain. Johnny Maestro. Very cool. Very cool. I feel like I'm meeting somebody famous. But Danielle, in all sincerity, I will share with you. Teens is when we start collecting. I'll just even do this. Never mind being like the life coachy part, but they're on the same wavelength. Clutter-wise, when you grow up in your family's house, you learn what to do by observing what they do. So I grew up in a cluttered home with collector people, very intelligent, very smart people, but they grew up being raised by people from the Great Depression, with not a lot of money. And so we had habits in my house of hoarding things, saving things, stacking them up, not knowing what to do with them. So I grew up with those habits. Then I began to emulate them. Oh, what do we do in our house for fun? We go thrifting. We go to yard sales. We go to Brimfield. We go antiquing. We buy antiques. We sell, we accumulate things and we collect them. So I did that for my late teens into my 20s and really into my 30s and into some of my 40s. For a while there, that was really fun. And you know what was fun about it for me was once I moved out into my own, I got to make decisions about the stuff that I collected. The stuff that I collected has nothing to do with what I grew up with because I grew up in a very traditional, boring, in my mind, boring kind of colonial house in New England. As you've seen my house when I'm at home, every wall is a different color. I'm mid-century modern. I love the kitschy stuff, all that kind of thing. I'm different. So I got to make decisions about what I had. What happened was I accumulated a lot of things, but I never knew how to deaccumulate them. Now, I had it better than some people because the way I worked going through my decades, I was a art history major, so I can look at things from a distance and kind of notice the stories behind them. I then was a visual merchandiser for Pier 1 and Mikasa. I also managed Pier 1 stores for a wicked long time. So I know how to make things look good on the surface and also in the background when you've got your stock room. Okay, so a lot of that is practical. But then also one of my last jobs before I, happily had to leap off of the corporate ship was I was a process engineer. Now, how did I get from, art history major to process engineer? It's because of the way I like to solve problems. Because I grew up in a cluttered environment, is it any surprise to you that I like to create order out of chaos? That order feels peaceful to me and chaos just feels chaotic. So my brain likes to solve problems and create order and simplicity because it feels better in my brain. Okay? Now I share this. I'm a Gen Xer, so this is like the story of my life. And it was only until maybe my mid to late 40s into my 50s that I realized what I was doing on the surface was working, but there was still some stuff underneath the surface that I was like, no matter what I'm doing here, I'm still not feeling good about stuff. And that's when I started to look for help like you are maybe. I reached out and I was looking at life coaches, and trust me, I used to freaking roll my eyes at self-help because I grew up in a house filled with 70 self-help books. I could rattle off the names. Now, what I learned from that, frankly, is you can buy the tool, but you got to use it in order for it to work. So I slowly started to look for things that resonated with me. Then I found some stuff that worked for me or that resonated, and then I used it, and it worked, and I got better. So I would say in the past 3 to 5 years is really when I have hit my sweet spot of really feeling good, in my head, in my heart, in my surface, in my stored, in my sentimental, all of those things. Okay? So that's my journey. I want you to be on a journey that is organically feeling like you are, but here's the difference. You are at a juncture right now. If your clutter isn't feeling good for you, the neat thing is when I was there, I said, I don't know what to do about it. And there was nothing that resonated with me that worked for me. I figured this out for myself and it works for me. That's why I'm like, hey, if you're at that where I was, this worked for me. And I like to make it fun. Listen to me, I'm a Gen Xer. I like make it fun. I'm irreverent. I'm quoting The Clash. I'm showing up in my t-shirt. When it's fun, this is one of my little mantras. It's like, let's have fun, but let's get it done. Okay? So that's me and my journey. So thank you for asking. But just so you know where I was, where I am right now, I'm sitting cross-legged on a rolled up, what do you call it? Like a slumber party sleeping bag at my sister's house. And where am I going? And here's the wonderful thing. In the past, I'm in my future, my present, and my future is so bright, I got to wear shades. I am so loving where I am now and knowing that I want this feeling in my future, that I am actively always checking my decisions. How does that make me feel? And I can stop the ones that make me feel bad a hell of a lot sooner than I used to back even in my teens and 20s and 30s. Okay? Now, let me ask you, I'm going to back up a little bit. I did see some things here, so I'm going to scroll and see. Yep, Rome was not built in a day. And who wants to build Rome? Maybe you want to build Palm Springs, Jennifer's asking where I am. I'm on the Philly side of PA. I am totally outside. I'm in Chester County. I mean, usually right now I'm in freaking Norfolk County, maybe, in Massachusetts. Yeah. And thank you for German Maid. You knew I was in Philly side. Yeah. Um, yeah, okay, Donna, I got you. Thank you. Seriously, you've helped become the family drop off as the oldest, left at 57, and I have been stuck. Here's the funny thing I'll share with you, and I don't think my sister would mind me sharing this. She would probably agree with it. I I moved out of Massachusetts almost 24 years ago. Basically, literally today could be, this within this week. It was 24 years ago this week that I moved from Massachusetts to Delaware when I was dating my now husband, and so I was unable to. I kind of abdicated the throne. I kind of took the crown off of being the oldest, and I gave it to my sister. I didn't give it to my sister. I put it down. She was geographically here, so even though she wasn't the oldest, she ended up kind of inheriting things from people. So her house is filled with things that she inherited. So I know that feeling, and I know it's one of those things where sometimes you say yes to things because you don't know what to do with them, but then you're stuck with them. I totally know what that feels like. All right. Yeah, let me ask you that. I'm just scrolling here. Sia says, realized I was holding out to stuff my grandmother gave my mother because she herself didn't want it. And I love the aha, like that aha moment. Wait a minute. And this is the thing I want to say. Notice that when people give you stuff, they have already said to themselves, I don't want it. So you are in the wonderful opportunity to say, if they don't want it, I don't necessarily need to say yes to it because they already don't want it. So I can easily say I don't want it either. Now, Kristen Berg, I hear you. I'm having every kitschy kitchen item. Now, so yeah, cute, but too much. Notice this. Okay, so here's a wonderful thing. Now I'm catching up, and I want to share this. And saying, do I still thrift? Can I do that? When is enough enough? Here, total free, like literally life lesson right here. I'm upstairs doing this, and then prior to this, I was downstairs having my tea when my sister was having her coffee. Now, we used to go thrifting for fun. She still does. To me, it's not fun anymore. But that's okay. It's different, though. It's different than how I grew up. I mean, I've thrifted since I was like 12, 15, even 10. I remember going to thrift stores when I was with my mother. With my mom and I've thrifted all my life. It is no longer fun for me anymore. And here's what I want you to notice, Kristen and everybody. It can be fun. And this is what I like to say. It's like it was fun until it wasn't. Suddenly it's not fun anymore. It's like eating a bunch of bacon and then being like, I keep on eating it, but it doesn't taste as good as the first bites or two or first couple of pieces. And now I'm getting that saturated fat thing in my belly, and now I'm got a rumbly tumbly. This is what I want to notice, and this is one of the few times I would suggest looking at the screen when I talk about this stuff, because notice how I talked about surface, stored, and sentimental. There are also 3 levels of clutter kind of in your body, okay? And notice I talked about bacon. When you have no food, any food in your belly feels good. Down an empty belly is kind of lack. Now a full belly feels good. Ooh, this feels good. I feel much better. I feel more grounded, clear. I can make decisions. I have nourishment. Many of us blow past that kind of satiety, that satiating point of food and drink and stuff. So that we keep on adding things to our collection. Now that can be fun. Oh, look, I got this and I got this. I got this piece of Pyrex and this piece of Fiesta ware, and I got this glass and I got this and this t-shirt and this. It can be fun. And then, but you're at a certain point, you get too much. You don't have lack. You've blown past your just right point, and you know you've blown past your just right point inadvertently when you start to feel like it's too much. Okay? And when you feel like it's too much, that's when you say, wait a minute, and your little traffic cop hand comes out and says, ho, 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 slow down, you move too fast. Okay? Slow down and say, okay. Yeah. And here's the thing, Kristen, you can still thrift. When is enough enough? Enough is enough when you feel like it. When you feel like enough is enough. Enough is enough is enough. That was Donna Summer and Barbara Streisand. Barbara, can tell I'm in Boston now. Barbara Streisand. Notice the words we use when we have too much. Oh my God, I'm overwhelmed. I'm drowning in it. I'm suffocating. I feel like I can't breathe. I can't move. Notice all those constricting feelings that having too much stuff. When you have lack, you don't have that. If anything, you have so much space. You've got space in your house. You've got space in your belly. There's a difference though. It's conjunction junction. It's not too much or too little. It's like having like right in the middle. Or actually no, sorry, that wasn't really good conjunction junction. This is more like my Goldilocks metaphor. It's not too cold, it's not too hot, it's just right. And everybody's just right limit is your own. Now, there are people out there who are minimalist. There are people out there who are maximalist. What I say is the most powerful thing you can do, clutter-wise and otherwise, is get in touch with what makes you feel good. Screw everybody else right now. What makes you feel good? And when you learn that feeling of feeling good, then that's like a Doppler radar. That's like a pinging out. Is that going to make me feel good? Is that going to lift me up? Or is that going to bring me down? Don't bring me down, Bruce. Don't bring me down. Okay? So I have thrifted before, but I'm like, I'm good. This is a really interesting place to be. I will share this with you. To be satiated with what I have and enjoying what I have. It's not just about the quantity, but it's about the quality of things. And I don't mean that in a highfalutin way. I mean that what I have brings me joy to my eyes, it works well, and I have a place to put it. When I don't need to thrift because I'm good with what I have. Now, that doesn't stop me sometimes from when I'm on vacation. I'll go look at stuff and maybe I will add a thing here and add a thing there, because sometimes when I look around my house now, I'm thinking, oh, that worked for me for a while, but I'm different now. I don't need all those magazines about vintage diners. So I will then pass those on to somebody who has those things. But thrift stores, frankly, and I'll be honest with you, okay? Even before I started this journey, I used to sell vintage stuff. And my husband and I hit some gold mines for a while, thrifting. Then there were years there that I was like, there's nothing but crap here. Because we are starting to produce, I mean, the stuff that's being produced in the world is crap, and there's a shorter turn time. So it became not fun for me to thrift when I just wasn't finding the good stuff. Now I don't need anything because I don't sell stuff and I don't collect stuff. So I don't do it, and that feels okay. Now, if my sister wants to go to a thrift store today, sure, I'll look around. But I almost feel like I'm like the guys who are sitting at the front of like Frugal Fanny's and the little thing with the TV on, like waiting for her to be done. I'm happy to go with her if it brings her joy, but that's not what brings me joy anymore. Okay? Now, I love this. Sia just said, I realize I also confuse. Notice the confusion. What someone else valued with what my thoughts are. Yeah, quieting down what they are saying and turning up what you are saying. What's your co-pilot voice saying? Because I talk about your backseat driver and your co-pilot. Turn down that other voice and turn up this voice. You know? So, hope that helps. There we go. Marie says, I can't have too much clutter around. Makes me rage AAF. Notice how it triggers your rage. Get curious about that. You know? I know myself, this was really funny to me. So when I went to college, I lived in a dorm a couple of years when I went to this one school. And I had a person, it was a all-girls dorm. We each had our own room. It was like a wicked old building. And this girl noticed, she's like, oh my God, your room is always a mess. Because I didn't know how to clean my room because I grew up with cluttered people. And she said, but I can always tell when you're about to get down to work and write a paper, because you always are cleaning your room before you start to kind of focus. And I was like, oh my God, you're right. I never really noticed that. But I have always noticed the correlation between my environment and how it feels. Like I have pictures of my room that I decorated. Every place I've lived, I've always kind of taken pictures of what my room looked like because I liked things look a certain way. I'm very visually oriented, but also how it feels. And I can't concentrate when things are yelling at me around here. Right. So notice these things. Yep. And notice how your clutter makes you feel. And let me help you with this too. Yeah, and there we go. Yeah, Kristen says, Beth, because you are healthy, I thrifted to avoid other life issues. Oh my God. So did I. So did I. Thrifting and eating ice cream. I was like, okay, I'm avoiding that. I'm going to go distract myself from the bigger picture of what am I doing with my life, because I've had all these random jobs, but I don't know what I want to do, and I'm not happy in this marriage, and I don't know where what am I going to be when I grow up? All that, So I was like, I can't solve for that, but man, do I want to go find that piece of Pyrex. I say Pyrex, but my real brain is saying Fiestaware, okay? One thing I think is going to help, and I'm keeping an eye on the time, I'm going to be here for another 15 minutes, but I want you to think of this when you're decluttering. So Marie, you're saying freelance writer. That's awesome. You're a freelance writer. Excuse me, I got to move my hip here. I got old lady hips. What was I going to mention? Decluttering. Okay, decluttering is kind of a two-step process, and also in order to keep it sustainable, and that's how I roll. I want you to live a life you love, not just in the short term, but in the long term. So I want you to think of these two parts of the process to not only get decluttered, but stay that way. That's another one of my things. Don't just get decluttered, but stay that way. I feel like a Ron Popeil or something. Now I say this because decluttering, we often think of just the one part. We think of, I have a certain number of items in my home and that number is too much, so I need to reduce the number. So we always say, okay, I got rid of a bag of stuff to the Goodwill, or, I donated this stuff, or I sold this on eBay, and I'm decreasing. That pile is getting smaller. Usually that's what everybody thinks decluttering is, just that part. That's only half of the battle. And let's not even make it a battle. That's half of it. The other half that you can do at the same time, and you should be, is noticing your habits and changing your habits, because your habits got you, clutter-wise and otherwise, as I like to say. Your habits of thinking, of feeling, of acting have created the life you have right now. When you notice that, even just in the little silo of clutter, you're like, whoa, that's a life concept. That's too big. Cool, let's chunk it down and just into clutter. Your thoughts and feelings and actions about stuff in your home has created the environment you live in. If you want to change that environment, it's not just about, and this is where it kind of goes back to or it's similar to losing weight. It's not just about losing weight, but once you've lost it, how to maintain it. And you don't just say, I'm going to do one thing. That's like the crash diet. It's not just a crash diet, and then you go back to eating the way you did, you're going to gain it. It's learning how to kind of organically and sustainably decrease the clutter and change your habits, so that when you get down to the just right amount, you also have the habits that prevent the clutter from piling up again. Now, whether that's the habits of putting things away, whether it's the habit of decreasing the amount of items that comes into your house, whether it's the habit of saying yes to things you don't want to get into your house and saying thank you but no. When I coach anyway, we work on the both. Instead of, again, maybe I'll use conjunction right now. Instead of this or that, it's this and that. Okay? So Marie, I say that to you to just notice that you can do the declutter. We all do that, the rage cleaning, and people are coming over and you shove things away. But more sustainably, when you do the surface and then you do the stored and then you do the sentimental, and you know that you can go through each layer and come out the other side feeling awesome, that is going to give you the life to say, oh, I like how this feels. I don't want more stuff that I'm kind of iffy about in my life. Now, do I still want to buy things that totally light me up? I mean, literally light me up, literally. I'm home right now. I ordered a lamp. It's probably the most expensive things I have ever purchased, but I have coveted this lamp. It's a Nelson bubble lamp, in case anybody knows. It's like the kind of oval one. I've wanted one of those for literally 30 years. Now, I kind of wish I had bought one back 30 years ago. It would have been a hell of a lot cheaper, but my brain was like, that's too expensive. Even right now, I'm like, that's kind of pricey, but it's going to bring delight for me for the rest of my life, as I feel like I'm not cheaping out on myself time of life. So notice the things that bring you joy. And if they truly bring you, if you can see yourself really enjoying that thing, or wearing it 10 times, or saying, do I think I'm going to still use this in 2 years or next year or 5 years, and say yes, then buy that stuff. And notice that one expensive lamp could be like, you buy a whole bunch of little cheapy things, buy the good thing first. That's quality. Okay? So I love it. Yeah, you're in your joy era. Totally. Okay, now I'm going to keep an eye on the time. Now, let me back. No, Marie, I'm laughing because, I totally am a born and bred masshole. So, yes, this is my love language. This is, never mind my love language. This is my everyday way I speak. So, as I said, especially when I coach from PA, you can take the girl out of mass, but you can't take the mass out of the girl, So, yes, I'm glad you get them, because here's the funny thing. There are people out there who I know won't be picking up what I'm putting down. They're the ones that I make a joke and they're like, oh, okay. And then they go buy Tupperware and watch sports. or they buy their Stanley mugs and then they go to whatever. I'm being kind of judgy, but I will say this. I know that there is a certain level of people that I have no interest in, that there's no connection. I love connecting with people on a wavelength that you're like, oh, I totally get what you're saying. Oh, me too. Like, don't you love that connection with people? That's one of the reasons I show up and do these TikTok lives, because if we have that kind of connection and you're struggling with clutter, you might feel comfortable with a coach like me, and that's one of the reasons I show up as myself. Because when I got into life coaching, I will tell you, I almost didn't get into it at all. If I had to put on a suit and a little like microphone and have my little whiteboard behind me, I would rather not do that at all. But then I thought, you know what? Let me give it a shot. Let me go onto TikTok. Let me do some stuff. Let me dare to show up how I am, the age I am, how I look, lack of makeup, wearing a t-shirt. Let me show up as the real me, because I'd rather show up as the real me and have it not work than show up as a fake person and then have to just maintain that facade. Okay? Now I love this. Lovely Little Bee says, hey there. Hey, I love listening to you in the morning. Awesome. Today's Thursday, I'm probably not going to do another TikTok live this week. I'm just sharing with you guys, okay? Because I am actively traveling. However, if you like what you're hearing, I do TikTok lives when I am home, like pretty much every friggin' day. If you sign up for my mailing list, it's a free mailing list. It is so low key and awesome. There's really no scary reason to get on it. I don't sell you stuff. I don't bombard you. DestinationDecluttered.com is my website. Scroll down to the bottom of the homepage. There's a little place that you just put in your email address. You sign up. I say that because if you like what you're hearing and you want to sign up more, it's kind of like me. I listen to like the Abraham Hickses when they scroll by on my TikTok, but they always just kind of randomly scroll by. I like to know that, oh, hey, if I show up at 9 o'clock in the morning and I'm there kind of doing my dishes and I can listen to somebody who I enjoy listening to, I want to tune into that show. That's why I schedule my TikTok lives. And as Abbott Elementary confirmed, because I can't look at my my schedule because my phone is propped up on it, next week I do have TikTok live scheduled. And so you will find out the schedule for next week and beyond, because you'll have access to that. So if you like what you're hearing and you want to hear some more next week, sign up, look at the schedule, and pencil it in. Okay? There we go. Tracy says, I've set in. Oh my God, Tracy, of course. This is what I do. Come on in. I would say come on in, the water's fine, but this is not really a pool. But yeah, grab a cup of coffee, grab a cup of tea, hang out at the table. I'm buried in clutter right now and need inspiration. Okay, Tracy, let me help you with this and everybody else. So I've got about 6 or 7 minutes now, and then I need to hop off of this machine and get onto that machine because I do one-on-one coaching, paid coaching with people all over the country. Now I do that from my laptop as opposed to my phone because we get onto Zoom and we do it, and it's just nice to, put a face to a name. Now I share this with you because, Tracy, if you need inspiration and you're feeling it here, but I only have about 6 minutes left. The cool thing is, let me help you with this, is that you'll notice on my TikTok page, there's a crap ton of squares. There's a crap load of kind of short form videos that I've done. Okay, short form, a little snack. You can scroll through a bunch of those. When you watch them, like them, because then the algorithm shows me to more people who are struggling with clutter. That would be awesome. You're also helping other people you don't even know. But if you like this notion of kind of having me on in the background, because you never need to look, very rarely will you need to look at the screen when I am coaching. Because mainly it's just my big old face and my hands moving around. Sometimes I will say, now here, pay attention, surface, stored, sentimental, head, heart, hand, green light, yellow light, red light, green light, red light. Other than that, you can go about your business and do some surface decluttering or get ready for work or fold the laundry, whatever it is that you want to do kind of on the surface. You can still listen to me. And all of my TikTok lives are recorded and uploaded to Destination Decluttered on YouTube. There are, I haven't even checked. I will check. I want to see how many I have there. But I just do them and upload them. And that's something I collect now. I collect my TikTok lives and they grow and they help people. So I leave them up there. Okay. There we go. So I hope that helps. Mary says on thrifting, I was thrifting the vases to make the TikTok bird baths. Now I have an excess of parts. Notice that feeling of just right and excess. So now the good news is, she says, I'm on a timeout. Notice the little traffic cop hand says, whoo, stop. Little tweet, tweet, stop. Stopping, slowing down, and noticing, wait a minute. I have an excess, so I'm going to stop the inputs and use what I have. Stopping, slowing down, and stopping to just check in with yourself to say, is what I'm doing getting me where I want to go or further away? Yeah, Ivy is doing the same thing. Ivy says, I thrift and resell, but now I am more wise and careful with what I buy for a quick sale. Being wise and careful. I am wise. I am careful. Sounds good. Now, Marie says, I'm a curriculum hoarder for my homeschooling life. I found and corralled the FOMO. Yeah, what if I need this? What if I need this? The fear of needing something and not having it. Man, does that not get us all in the clutter bus? All right? Okay, here we go. Recovering from an injury and job loss, I'm buried in clutter and need inspiration. Tracy, I will just share with you that I call myself, because why the hell not, the decluttering life coach, because how I speak about clutter is kind of like, I don't know if you guys ever remember, because I was a little kid when I watched it, but like Rocky and Bullwinkle, and how those things, when we were kids, we enjoyed it, but it was one of those cartoons that kind of played at two levels. So everything that I talk about, you can take literally just for the face value of the cluttering, and it will revolutionize your life clutter-wise. But they are universal lessons that can also be copy and pasted onto other areas of your life. You know, job loss, injury, loving yourself, self-talk, all that. Okay, so I hope this helps. Okay, there we go. Lydia says, I'm only buying clothes that make me feel a certain way, noticing what that certain way is for you, and looking forward to wearing it. Yeah, and I say looking forward to wearing it, and also freaking wear it sooner rather than later. Don't postpone joy. Wear the good stuff. Maybe you're going to Roach Brothers in a ball gown. I don't know, but have some fun. Okay? Good morning, Moa. Nice to see you. Now, I'm only here for literally like 2 more minutes. This was a total, as I mentioned to the people on my mailing list, I said, I will be traveling for this week. And even TikTok's like, be mindful of the time. Mindful and timeful. So I said, pop-ups possible but not promised. I'm all about alliteration, if you haven't noticed me. I out myself on a lot of my patterns. Yeah. Okay, so Sarah says, clearing the surface is hard for me. Yeah, it's super hard for me. I went to dust and realized I have way too much out. My Parge's storage space are cluttered, but I have nowhere to put the stuff. Yeah. Notice the interplay between surface, stored, and sentimental. So notice that. So start with your stored clutter. You may have things on the surface because you have no place to store them. So open up one cupboard, open up one drawer, and start to chunk it down. Even when you open up a cupboard, notice this. You open up a kitchen cupboard, and typically there are like 3 shelves. So this is where chunking it down can make things approachable, the baby steps. You don't start with your whole kitchen. You start with one cupboard, and even when you open up that door, start with one shelf. Pull out just what's on that one shelf. Notice the things that light up your heart that you want to keep. Notice even the stuff, even just immediately, the stuff that you're like, nah, I don't want that. Like those accumulated, on the top shelf, I tend to have those things where it's like, oh, we got like the free plastic mug. We might use it someday, so it's up there. Sometimes those things accumulate, you don't even realize it. Chunking it down and getting your stored clutter in manageable shape will make your surfaces easier. And I am all about easy. All about ease. That's the name of my new show. It's the name of my movie starring Betty Davis, okay? Now, I have to scoot you guys, okay, because I have a client I want to prep for, but this has been wicked fun for me. I hope it's been wicked fun for you. Again, my name is Beth, Decluttering Life Coach, Destination Decluttered, here on TikTok. Drop me a follow, as that guy says from Ireland. What is it? I'm delicious. He's wicked funny, too. If you like what you hear, I gave you all the resources. If not, there's a link on my TikTok page, and I look forward to hanging out with you more, okay? Now I got to scoot, but I will see you probably next week from Pennsylvania, okay?